Okay, but first we do need to look at this. This is Will Smith freestyle X Ben Shapiro X Kung Fu Fighting X 679 X Edamame X Face Off. Yeah, that's kind of important.
Yeah. Lyrical lemonade. Okay, I like this. Yeah, y'all got me a little nervous.
DJ Inhaler on the beat.
I know that I be on
This
some
is
other
nuclear.
shit. I know that I'm different. I be on some y'all don't understand it. I don't mention it. Made it to the top of Hollywood without a membership.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast.
I wouldn't play this at my son's birthday
In fact, it was
party.
a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing. They were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown.
Let's look at the stats. I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a wap. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You going to prison. I'm on television. Dogs, no one knows who you are. Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section all woke Karens. And I make raps off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people, download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
Yeah, she's my girl, and she'll be mine. She walk past like crazy. Rewind to see that it's one more time. I got this soda. My people, they know us. Our past money don't slow us. No one can control us.
Shit, Judy is fun, and when I make a monster, ain't not like I'm bad. If you with this word, the lights ain't a purple, I'm fucking out the window.
You know what, pop a ball off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it comes a lot. Some always at the corner, yeah, and you are not bad at it. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, drop it, drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. You ever so fake, you doesn't know.
About to get about a million options. I just talking to stop doing the green and I'm rock arena, bringing a piece of love in that pocket in the car, pretending I got all the eyes on me. Got a bad baby, she's independent. Too many people older than me to seeking attention. When they want me about the groupies, man, I should've listened. And it's smell of the money, my strength is addiction.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours. Like in some more in my veins, my culture banging with strange. I change the game, so what's my motherfucking
And
name?
even though I'm an action star, sometimes I'ma act bizarre. Cause I'm an artist at heart.
Oh man,
I'm not just an actor, y'all.
definitely didn't get enough mileage out of Kung Fu Fighting.
This is the bounce back. Watch Will, y'all. This is the bounce back. Here come the bounce back. Keep your eyes on them. This is the bounce back.
Definitely a strange brew. Definitely a strange brew on that one. Okay, I just had to see what that was, and I'm glad we went there. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are exploring Montalk.net. This is sort of an esoteric explorer of sort of metaphysical, paranormal mysteries, who's actually been at it for a while. I was actually kind of surprised to see the kind of things this guy is talking about as early as he was talking about them. If we look down here at our copyright date here, 2002 to 2024, and yeah, it really is true. Actually, you know, a lot of the conversations that we're having right now on YouTube are things that this guy was digging deep into as early as like 2003. Like, you know, how many times have we talked about sort of these what I call samsara entities, but some other people might call spirit guides. We'll call them reptilians, whatever you want to call them. But basically, these entities that we encounter between lifetimes, basically needing to coerce you into reincarnating here, under the auspices of basically needing to honor free will as a kind of natural law. And here we have an article, Why Negative Forces Seem to Respect Free Will. And this is written in March 9th, 2003, which is insane. This guy's talking about Matrix agents only a couple years after The Matrix came out. And yeah, the shit's like, this guy is so dialed in, bro. because that's how I feel. Is that I was not conscious of this for most of my life, but then I had a spiritual awakening, and then I was able to see. And I feel like most people kind of had that similar experience somewhere between 2020 and now has been for a lot of other people 2017 onward. That has been the big spiritual awakening where we started to see these things, started to see demons in people, started to see this matrix sort of behavior, started to notice people that don't really seem like actual people, seem more like NPCs. But Montauk, bro, Montauk has been dialed in since 2002, bro. Just he saw it all. So that's pretty insane. Um, so yeah, I think we may get into that article as well. I'm just going to be reading through some of these. Um, Apparently, according to Montauk, this article is outdated. Uh, I think we will, after reading this, go to the spiritless humans section. The spiritless human section seems a lot shorter. And I'd imagine this. There's not really a date on this. It doesn't look like, but I have to imagine that it was written somewhere, south of like 2007, because the spiritless humans addendum article was written in 2009, which we can see here. Yeah, April 27th, 2009. Um, so yeah, I was reading through this, and it resonated a lot with my experience of what I've been running out to in the world. So I wanted to read through this on stream, give a narration of this, and kind of dig into Montauk because I'm definitely intrigued by this individual. Super juiced up intuition so early on is pretty impressive. I'm enjoying my passion orange guava drink, 50% real juice. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, matrix agents, profiles, and analysis. This article seeks to summarize, clarify, and update the information available on the subject of energy vampires, the matrix, and its various agents, particularly one class of agents called organic portals. I will be paraphrasing from published sources listed in the footnotes and will include personal observations from friends and myself. And yeah, Mr. Montauk really did his homework here, even as early as the 2000s when I was just a wee baby. Here's our citations, hella citations all over the place. Um, Seems to be mostly drawn from this Gnosis Book 1 and Organic Portals, The Other Race. Look at these sources. These are old, old sources. Respect. Respect to dude. Okay, let's get into it. All right. This article first defines organic portals and sold humans, non organic portals, then makes a comparison between them based on physical, psychological, and metaphysical structure. Second, it explores the evolutionary origin and purpose of both types of humans. Third, this article describes the function of organic portals within modern society, particularly concerning their role as passive enforcers of the matrix. Lastly, it contrasts the usefulness of intuition versus intellectual analysis. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm streaming on the right channel. I also have a gaming channel. Uh, Lastly, it contrasts the usefulness of intuition versus intellectual analysis when it comes to identifying organic portals. Interspersed throughout the discussion will be additional comparisons between these and other matrix agents, particularly soulless robotic humans. Definition of souled human and organic portal. Organic portals are said to comprise approximately half of the human population. The other half mostly consists of souled humans. Here we define soul as the core of individualized consciousness that remains intact between successive incarnations. Interesting that in. Can we infer when this was written? I gotta imagine it's got to be around like 2004-ish that he's writing this, because the he's probably hip to like the most recent literature, and this the latest citation here is 2003. Man, oh man, oh man. Watch Will, y'all. It's the bounce back. Yeah, it's interesting that he says 50%, because these days we're getting more so estimates closer to 80%. If you've been following the dicyanin conversation, um, certain people, particularly like the leading developer of dicyanin goggles, can't remember the fellow. Oh yeah, Museum of Tarot. His own research basically revealed that um, 85% of the population either has no aura, or and that's, by the way, the purpose of the dicyanin is it allows you purportedly to see the auras of people. Um, so he fashioned this material into goggles basically that allow you to see auras, and he basically found that 85% of people don't have auras, either don't have auras or have like a mangled and diseased aura. Um, so yeah, a lot of people's estimates these days are closer, at least to like 3/4 organic portals. But according to Montalk, in around 2003, maybe 2004, 2005, I was in fourth grade. That's a crazy thought to think about. Um, he was figuring half the population. All right. While souled humans have a divine spark of consciousness that gives them the ability of individual self awareness, organic portals lack this divine spark and are only dimly conscious in comparison. They belong to an animal like group that exists, evolves, and incarnates collectively rather than individually, while each souled human has a relatively unique energy shaped by that person's awareness, experience, and essence. The energy that animates one organic portal is the same animating any other. And that is really interesting. Yeah, the idea of evolving collectively as a group soul, because you can see how much they kind of just move as like a hive mind. Um, it's like they're all like connected on some sort of like unspoken level. Um, yeah, like and they that's how like their timing when they do like little ambushes is so like on point, is that there is sort of like this current running through all of them. So yeah, not just collective at the level of sort of this communication between them, but also collective in terms of their evolution is pretty interesting. Um, Physical comparison. Physically, the two races are virtually indistinguishable. Statistically, there are minor physiological and perhaps genetic differences. Physiologically, organic portals tend to be more attractive and well proportioned. That's where you're kind of losing me, because I definitely know that there's hella ugly organic portals. Because they exist on an emotionally primal level, natural selection has ensured that sexuality, physicality, and attractiveness play a large part in their physical evolution. Also, unlike souled humans, organic portal bodies are conceived and developed independently of soul pressures or karmic burdens. That's interesting. So they are as attractive as probability allows within the constraint of environmental and genetic parameters. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. No karma. Suppose they wouldn't have karma if they don't have a soul. Because soul and genetics are coupled, karma and soul composition influences the physiology of souled humans, not just genetics or environment. For metaphysical reasons, they rarely maximize the potential for attractiveness allotted to them by genetics unless their soul quality deserves it. Also, souled humans tend to marry or reproduce for reasons other than just physical attraction, so the lowering of priority of physicality reflects in their offspring. There may be genetic markers in the X chromosome that distinguish them, or perhaps differences in body chemistry and hormones, but such are not known at this time. It must be stated that the difference in physical appearance between organic portals and non-organic portals is so slight that it cannot be used as a reliable criterion to distinguish between the two on an individual basis. Psychological comparison. Psychologically, organic portals are much simpler and therefore more efficient than non-organic portals. This is because they have fewer psychological components. While organic portals have 2 components, souled humans have 3. For souled humans, the first component is the divine spark known as spirit, higher self, essence, or the real I. The second component is a neural product of the environment known as ego, personality, or mechanical aspect, which consists of numerous contradictory lesser selves. The third component is body or somatic consciousness, the collective consciousness of one's physical cells and organs. Yeah, that was an interesting tidbit there. Component is a neural product of the environment known as ego, personality, or mechanical aspect, which consists of numerous contradictory lesser selves. So it is kind of like a hive of fragmented parts, sort of like a system, which is interesting to think about. Yeah, it's kind of like an ego, as defined here, is sort of like a hive mind of various individual fragments. OPs have only body consciousness and personality, but no divine essence or higher self, because the body and personality know no morality beyond social conditioning or self preservation. Organic portals lack true empathy or compassion. Any appearance of such is mimicked. Due to their psychological simplicity, they are fickle creatures who are predictable and easily manipulated. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, yeah, the like normies or psychopath sort of trope that you've been running into lately, like guys like Schizo Dumps talking about stuff like that. Here's Montalk talking about that like 2003. You know what I mean? Like this motherfucker is dialed in, bro. Um, yeah, so fickle creatures who are predictable and easily manipulated. Yeah, that makes me think a little bit about flying monkeys. Um, so basically, if we go to like the narcissist and empath conversation, wow, my hair is just fucked up today. Holy shit. If we go to the empath and narcissist conversation, um, it's noticeable how much narcissists just completely effortlessly control public opinion. So in other words, if you're an empath or whatever, and you have a falling out with a narcissist, it takes almost no effort whatsoever for the narcissist to turn literally every other person against you. Like there's no critical thinking. There's no like, let's go get the empath person's opinion. They're just immediately converted into like flying monkeys. Um, and that's because I believe they're organic portals. And Montauk is going to get into talking about how essentially uh, they're aligned sort of with negative entities, like they're interfaced with negative entities. And anybody that has any common sense whatsoever can see that narcissists are like full on possessed by negative entities. So, yeah, definitely more spiritual than physical, no doubt. And yeah, this is why they're so manipulatable and easily programmable. Yep, fickle creatures who are predictable and easily manipulated. Like the two-body problem in physics, they are linear systems. Like the three-body problem in physics, souled humans are nonlinear systems and can therefore be unpredictably complex. This complexity is dangerous in the sense that chaos arising from such complexity allows for true creativity, while it is detrimental because machine efficiency is sacrificed. Organic portals are stagnant but efficient machines with great calculating ability to achieve their aims, while souled humans are complex beings capable of creation and transducing energies from higher realms. Um, can we see the whole article here? Is it getting kind of cut off? Yeah, let's. There we go. While there are only slight differences between the physical bodies of the two types of humans, there are significant differences in their metaphysical bodies. As stated, organic portals like the divine essence, the essence, personality, and body consciousness are general terms that group a system of chakras or centers comprising the metaphysical body of conscious beings. To better understand the metaphysical difference, an explanation of the various centers or chakras is necessary. The difference between centers and chakras is that the latter involves energy organized into localized vortices in the etheric body, uh, while centers are merely the centers of gravity of a various functional system. There is a direct correspondence between centers and chakras, so for practical reasons, they may be considered equivalent. Centers have independent consciousness and perform specialized functions involving the collection, transformation, and dispersal of various types of information and etheric energies. They function as energy ports and information uplink centers. In the fully souled human, there are 3 higher centers and 3 lower centers. Lower high refers to what type of energy and activity they are associated with. Low centers deal with low density energies and information from the immediate third density or lower environment. Higher centers uplink with higher aspects of one's consciousness and derive their energy from higher realms. Descriptions of the centers. Lower centers consist of the motor center, base chakra, lower emotional center, sexual chakra, and lower intellectual center, throat chakra. Higher centers consist of the sexual center, solar plexus chakra, higher emotional center, heart chakra, and higher intellectual center, crown chakra. It's an interesting breakdown. Yeah, so he categorizes the solar plexus as a higher center, with the throat chakra as a lower center. The sexual center is the primary energy port from which other centers derive theirs. By itself, sexual energy is merely a coarse creative energy of which the physical sexual act is just one application. The other centers transduce this energy and create various grades of energy and effect from their utilization. The sexual center normally gets its energy directly from the creator, 7th density. Interesting. The motor center has to do with body consciousness and instinctual motions. Sexual energy used by the center is associated with the physical sexual act. Among other things, the motor center is the seat of the somatic, genetic, or body consciousness. The lower emotional center has to do with base emotions, the kind animals are capable of experiencing. The center is responsible for the animalistic side of humans. Okay. The lower intellectual center isn't present in most wild animals, though it is highly developed in most humans and give them the ability to speak, read, write, and perform abstract reasoning. This center is the seat of ego and personality, a mechanical product of the environment and the neural structure of the nervous system. It has little consciousness in itself and is more like a computer or artificial intelligence program. This is just a totally different take on chakras. So he's saying that the throat chakra is the seat of ego and personality, and allows you to perform abstract reasoning, and is more like a computer or artificial intelligence program. Interesting. The higher emotional center allows souled humans to feel when something is wrong and gives one the ability to experience empathy, joy, and enthusiasm. Okay, so now we're talking heart chakra, I believe. Look, I'm trying to keep track of all this. Okay, so yeah, sexual center. Yeah, so it associates the solar plexus with the sexual energy, which is kind of a new take on chakras for sure. And now we're talking higher emotional center, heart chakra, and higher intellectual center, crown chakra. The higher emotional center allows souled humans to feel when something is wrong and gives one the ability to experience empathy, joy, and enthusiasm, and is an uplink with the emotional side of one's true self, the higher self, and the source of one's gut instinct or intuition. Okay, so association with of the heart with intuition. Lastly, the higher intellectual center is an uplink with the conscious core of the higher self. The center allows one to know absolute truth and is a source of higher density information. While souled humans possess all three centers, organic portals lack the higher intellectual and higher emotional centers. Like all animals, the only higher center they have is the sexual center, which interfaces with their group soul. It's absolutely important to understand that the lack of the two higher centers accounts for all the differences between them and souled humans. As for souled humans, while they possess all six centers, the two higher centers are often dormant or inaccessible. It's interesting he's leaving out the third eye chakra. While they possess all six centers, the two higher centers are often dormant or inaccessible. This does not mean the higher self is dormant, just that the communication uplink is weak or inoperative. Most souled humans act very similar to organic portals for that reason. Yep. Sleepers. Furthermore, organic portals can emulate the higher centers by stealing such higher energy from souled humans. The distinction between organic portals and non-organic portals can sometimes be difficult for that reason. Consciousness manifests only when centers observe each other. Each center is a mechanical component of our metaphysical body and endowed with limited consciousness. But when they couple together by observing each other, a consciousness greater than the sum of its parts may manifest. It is known in physics or chaos theory that when the complexity of a system composed of coupled It is known in physics or chaos theory that when the complexity of a system composed of coupled parts goes beyond a certain point, it becomes chaotic. It is through chaos that true consciousness manifests itself in this reality. Anyways, the point here is that since most of us are bound through identification with our ego and body, we neglect to observe the two higher centers and are therefore not manifesting or experiencing higher consciousness in this reality. The key to experiencing higher consciousness is being self-aware rather than lost in what we perceive, to remember ourselves at every moment possible. Our higher self exists, but without a connection between our lower centers and higher centers, its effort to communicate goes unheard. Nevertheless, the higher centers still exist for souled beings, albeit passively most often, and provide for inspiration, creativity, and originality, which, of course, organic portals do not have. The more developed one's connection with the higher centers, the more creative, enthusiastic, intuitive, and Gnostic one becomes. Yeah, that is a noticeable difference too, between myself and sort of these people out there. Is I really get excited about certain ideas. You know what I mean? I kind of get charged up and really excited. Whereas these people are just totally normie, conformy, just going with the motions. There's no real like pronounced passions. Our higher self exists, but without a connection between our lower centers and higher centers, as efforts to communicate go unheard. Nevertheless, the higher centers still exist for souled beings, albeit passively most often, and provide for inspiration, holy shit, creativity, and originality. Let me read that again. Our higher self exists, but without a connection between our lower centers and higher centers. Its efforts to communicate go unheard. Nevertheless, the higher centers still exist for souled beings, albeit passively most often, and provide for inspiration, creativity, and originality. The more developed one's connection with the higher centers, the more creative, enthusiastic, intuitive, and Gnostic one becomes. I just read that. The function of centers in organic portals. Because organic portals have no genuine higher centers, they are incapable of empathy, higher emotions, and higher knowledge. As previously mentioned, animals have only the motor center, lower emotional, and sexual center, lacking the intellectual center. Without the educational and energetic presence of souled humans, organic portals would barely be any different. In their natural state, organic portals lack the lower intellectual center just as most animals do. Only by stealing energy from souled humans can their lower intellectual center first be formed. And only by being trained via education, media, culture, and environment can the center be refined. So, what they just said is that the throat chakra of organic portals actually comes from stealing energy from souled uh, player characters. Once endowed with an intellectual center, they can make up for their lack of higher centers through deft emulation, particularly by stealing and sampling the higher energies of a souled person. Yeah, I think we've been seeing a lot of that in the Chosen One community. Chosen Ones are very sort of, well, not all of them. Actually, a lot of Chosen One content creators are very sort of like copycats. But it is a running theme in the Chosen One community is that Chosen Ones are generally like original people, authentic people that are bringing their own sort of flavor to things. Whereas sort of these people all around, they start copying them. They start copycatting. I hear this all the time, all the time on so many channels. I even hear situations of like people trying to like identity swap. You hear like destiny swap a lot, but actually like I've heard stories of like identity swap of like I heard this one older chosen one guy talking about um this guy that he used to give guitar lessons to. Uh he Okay, so the guy himself, the chosen one, was sort of having like an amiable sort of break with his romantic partner, sort of taking a break. And then this guy used to give guitar lessons to that almost like I idolized him. He comes back into the picture. Now he's dressing like this guy. He's playing guitar like this guy, and he moves in with this guy's former girlfriend. And of course, understandably, this guy is just like, "What the fuck, fucking weirdo! You have changed your entire hairstyle. You've changed your entire style of dress just to look like me and act like me." Yeah, so that's organic portals. They have no creativity. All they can do is just steal or copy. The type of energy stolen depends on method of acquisition. Through physical proximity, an organic portal can siphon physical energy from the motor center of a soul person, which manifests as fatigue or exhaustion. Through intimidation, venting, or seduction, the lower emotional center is tapped. Via lies or fantasies and the begging of attention, the lower intellectual center energy of a souled human is drained. Through orgasm with a souled person during sexual intercourse, an organic portal may take in a large quantity of all one's energies. All this places stress upon the higher centers, meaning that they don't function optimally because they are underpowered. This indicates that interaction with an organic portal will temporarily decrease one's creativity, individuality, and originality. Since the lower centers are drained, intellectual performance can suffer as well. This mental muddying makes one less able to catch the logical fallacies organic portals use in their arguments and allows one's perceptions to be more easily twisted by them, which is fascinating because I don't listen to these people at all. I like there is no back and forth. I'm literally just like, okay, yep, well, thanks for talking. Goodbye. You know what I mean? I go to the store, I go to the grocery store. I only go places that have self checkout. You know what I mean? I go to work. I'm barely, you know what I mean, carrying on any serious discussion with any of my customers, and I don't really talk to my coworkers because one man, one van doing air conditioning. So yeah, yeah, I don't feel I need to catch the logical fallacies the organic portals are using. The primary energies organic portals seek come from the higher emotional center of souled beings. Sometimes the higher centers are drained indirectly when energy normally reserved for those centers is instead channeled towards the three lower centers to make up for their drained conditions. Okay. More directly, many organic portals will stage elaborate melodramas and pretend victim status, whining and begging to be pitied in order to steal energy from the higher emotional centers of those who care to listen and make the mistake of empathizing with someone that doesn't have true feelings. With this energy, organic portals can emulate their targets more accurately, giving the appearance of having a soul. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I never even get this far because I only need to talk to one of these people for like a couple of weeks before the demons start coming out of them. And then I'm like, oh, okay, you're a piece of shit. So let's pull the plug on that. So yeah, thankfully don't have that problem. Simulation and manipulation of souled humans. Organic portals are human chameleons. When activated to reel in a souled person for manipulation, they adjust themselves based on the soul profile and behavior of their target. This adjustment falls into two categories: intellectual calculation and soul emanation. Am I at? Oh, I'm sorry, soul emulation. Intellectual calculation is performed through the intellectual center. In organic portals, this artificial intelligence center is responsible for formulating the organic portal's behavioral approach towards the target. This includes what to say and what body language to use. Fascinating. Most organic portals are just background characters with seemingly independent personalities, but occasionally they may become activated. When activated, they use their emulation and calculation abilities to the fullest to get what they want or are assigned to get. If they seek to gain trust, they know just the right things to say. When building rapport, they may describe their personal history, movie, and music interests, hobbies, jobs, or places they have previously lived. Many of those details happen to coincide with their target to a degree effective at building friendship. Yeah, yeah, I did find that. I did have one viewer who I talked to through Facebook who was not giving chosen one energy. And well, I was kind of starting to see like entities sort of coming out a little bit. Just like the little sprinkle there, just a little sprinkle there. And we ended up having very similar taste in music, talking about very similar artists. So I think that might have been what was happening there for sure. Um, Many of those details happen to coincide with their target to a degree effective building friendship, but not so much as to spark alarm over the weirdness of it all. On the other hand, if their aim is to harass or sabotage, they know what buttons to push and which logical and emotional tricks work best against a souled person's intellectual and emotional weaknesses. Whatever their aim, the efficient intellectual center of organic portals allows for a custom fit approach towards manipulating a target. Because organic portals are capable of hive mind behavior, once one organic portal has read a person's profile, it can instantly be shared with all others. Yeah. Yeah, I went in for an air conditioning. I went back to my air conditioning school to give like a talk, and there's a junior class and a senior class, and it was so interesting to watch the seniors come like pop in, and they're just going back and like gossiping and like just operating like this tribal sort of hive mind. Like, okay, let's figure this guy out. What's he doing? What's this guy doing? How does he think? How can we get to him? It's like weirdo. I would never do that. I'm not going to talk to other people. Let's all huddle together. What's this guy doing? What's this guy all about? What? You're like, what the fuck? What we doing, doc? What we doing, doc? Whatever their aim, the efficient intellectual center of organic portals. Okay, we already read that. This makes for some strange synchronicity sometimes. Oh yeah, the timing is just bizarre. It's a little too on the chin, bro. At a certain point, you just know that this is a thing, like beyond a shadow of a doubt. As will be discussed shortly, they are also interfaced with a hyperdimensional hierarchy of negative beings. Boom, there it is. Boom, there it is. That's our entity attachments. That's our entity attachments. It behaves like a hive mind and are thus extensions of not only second density group soul, but also the matrix itself. Their hive behavior is due mostly to their interface with the matrix. Without it, their group soul might still cause for some hive like behavior, except it would be less noticeable. Something akin to the 100th monkey phenomenon. I don't know what the 100th monkey phenomenon is, but holy shit. Montalk, bro. 2004, spitting game. We're only learning about this shit now. It's only coming to light now. Montauk was dialed in. Soul emulation is their second asset. While intellectual calculation concerns mundane behavior, soul emulation involves the illusion of soul depth. By sampling the energy from a soul person's higher centers, an organic portal can fine tune its intellectual calculations in addition to projecting that energy back at the target, making the target perceive a reflection of his own soul image. The naive target will ascribe soul quality to the organic portal that are actually his own. And you know something that's interesting is I feel like this is something that more so only worked like in the past. I feel like in the 2000s, there was this sort of threat of being duped over long periods of time. But in the 2020s, I feel like what we call chosen ones or sold people, um, the exposure happens is way too fast now. Like I have people figured out like within the first conversation. So they're working hard trying to set up these illusions, trying to like build, trying to like pull you in, reel you in, and get you wrapped up in them. But I'm like two or three conversations in, I'm like, okay, I already clocked you, and it's not even that hard because I'm not like deeply investigating. I'm not like thinking super hard. Literally, just there's some kind of energetic presence with chosen ones that now in the 2020s, that presence is so strong that it's just exposing people like immediately. Immediately. Like these days, chosen ones, they can't even walk into like a meeting, group meeting, without just seeing the people. You walk in and they're having a conversation, they turn around like whoa, whoa, just here to go to the meeting. It's like weirdo shit. Um, yeah. So those who are observant and understand the organic portal phenomenon will recognize their mirroring as being too uncanny, too synchronistic, too strange, and too good to be true. A souled person can have much in common with another souled person, but one must ask whether the degree of how much they have in common is even possible, assuming both have free will. Yeah. High levels of mirroring are seen only in cases of activated organic portals. However, the passive background characters of organic portals display the mirroring trait less often, but in an equally synchronistic manner. Comparisons between organic portals and robotic agents. There are other types of matrix agents that employ the mirroring method, and they can be discovered the same way. Agents who must gain trust before commencing sabotage or intelligence gathering may use the mirroring trick, as well. A lot of the chosen one community talks about as monitoring spirits. Alternatively, those who intend to steal energy, intimidate, or deal with non-compliant targets use rapid switching of personalities or methods. The unusual nature of these 180-degree changes can be startling. Both conscious and robotic agents. Give me a sec. Robotic agents. Robotic agents. Fuck, piece of shit. I mean, robotic agents. I mean, at this point, truth is stranger than fiction. So, sure, why not? Robotic agents. Um, Both conscious and robotic agents are prone to making mistakes and can misread their targets because they cannot sample soul energy as accurately or perform calculations as quickly as organic portals can. Robotic agents are more likely to mirror imperfectly, not being as smooth or knowing how to avoid stepping across the target's threshold of suspicion. Since the same hyperdimensional guided artificial intelligence network that directs organic portals also controls robotic agents, they are capable of truly outrageous synchronicities and mirroring. But unlike organic portals, their mirroring is based mostly on intelligence gathered through surveillance and mind reading technologies and is therefore less effective. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. While organic portals can mirror effectively, they have greater free. Oh my god. They have greater free will than robotic agents because of their relatively greater level of consciousness. This makes them more difficult to mobilize and customize. Also, they require energy maintenance. When a hyperdimensional group of negative beings assigns an organic portal to steal energy from a target for their consumption, the organic portal takes part of that energy for itself in the second density soul pool. Organic portals and robotic agents are analogous to horses and motorcycles, or pawns and towers in the game of chess. Interesting. Robotic agents are virtually non conscious and under the complete guidance of external control mechanisms. This means they are not as limited as they are cybernetic extensions of higher negatively souled beings. Nevertheless, they are susceptible to glitches when faced with situations beyond the parameters of their programming. Organic portals are primarily passive agents, while robotic types are active agents. The strength of organic portals lies in their numbers, approximately 3 billion according to some sources. I guess at the time the human population was about 6 billion. Their primary function is to keep souled individuals too distracted and beat down in life to advance spiritually, to direct public opinion by functioning as hired clappers to suppress and ridicule those who voice or think dissenting thoughts about the Matrix reality, and to function as portals for lower and higher density forces to reach to and interact with third density souled humans, hence their name, organic portals. They are like weeds in a field, crowding out and weakening the good crops. That hit home. That definitely hit home for me, dude. Robotic agents are active agents, and their strength lies in their complete malleability towards negative external control. They are used most often to hone in on specific targets for sabotage, distraction, or intelligence gathering. Their quintessential targets are beginners on the path to awakening. Such neophytes are future threats that, for the moment, are easily led astray through coercion and disinformation tactics. What often gives robotic agents away is their impatience, forcefulness, single mindedness, synchronistic appearance and disappearance, overly inquisitive natures on limited topics to the point of feigned stupidity, extraordinary demand for one's time, inflexibility at adjusting to conversations that span beyond certain parameters, and their relentless drive for propagating and advocating sources of disinformation. Most don't share all these signs, but all share most of them. The more naive the target, the more an agent can employ these characteristics without causing suspicion. You know something I think about all the time? Um, if all of this is true, if all of this is true, and the goal is to cause distraction to not advance spiritually, why doesn't the Matrix just send me a harem? You know, if I had a harem of bitches, you know what I mean? I'd be pretty distracted. But that's okay. We can do this weird, you know what I mean? Uh, come and go attention seeking behavior thing, I guess, if that's what causes enough distraction. But I think there's more efficient ways of doing this if that's the goal. Also, robotic agents are much more stable in times of planetary chaos than organic portals because organic portals don't function well when their mundane reality crumbles. They are apt to go into denial, shut off, or become uncontrollable. Robotic agents, however, react as they are remotely controlled to react. Um, Affinity for mundane versus esoteric environments. Returning to the subject of organic portals, they are only capable of acting or thinking within the realm of the matrix. This realm consists of mundane ideas that are void of genuine metaphysical truths, truths that reveal a reality greater than the common worldview that has been programmed into the masses via education, culture, and the media. These irrelevant ideas that pressure one into conforming to the matrix are called A influences. They are factors that have little or no bearing on one's spiritual evolution, but rather serve as distractions, sometimes necessary ones. The pressure to reproduce, marry, watch TV, subscribe to popular magazines, vote, engage in political activities, memorize sports statistics, recite lines from movies, explain away weird phenomena with orthodox rationalizations, and the drive to pursue money and power are examples of A influences. Man, that was back when people read magazines. um, yeah. Placing together the truth, observing one's environment for glitches and synchronicities, meditating on problems to solve them, developing one's individuality, paying attention to signs from the higher self, analyzing and learning from one's mistakes, and seeking to develop independent thinking and creativity are examples of following B influences. Organic portals are masters within the realm of A influences. They can think, say, and act within this realm with perfection, but they are incapable of conceiving or functioning within the realm of B influences. They may occasionally pretend to operate there with words alone, but never follow with action. Their actions never match their words when it comes to B influences, and often they won't even talk or admit to such things. Yeah, I think we see that a lot with religion. Religion is an attempted form of spirituality, but like 99% of Christians, for example, have like no spiritual depth whatsoever. They're attracted to the programming side of Christianity. The actual like deeper spiritual mysteries of Christianity, they have absolutely zero interest in whatsoever. Usually, prayer is a tool for them to sort of petition for more material conditions, better material conditions, and other stuff. Their common refusal to acknowledge or admit to strange phenomena follows from two facts. First, that they lack higher centers and therefore cannot even comprehend anything other than that which belongs to the realm of A influences. Yeah, this is reminding me of like a lot of coworkers that I had, like a coworker that I trained with. Yeah, it's just Hilux, bro. It's Hilux everywhere. Um, the lower centers are more than comfortable within the matrix, while the higher centers urge us to transcend. The second fact is that they are directed by the hyperdimensional hierarchy of negative beings, entities who possess cold calculative intelligence. When calculating risk versus reward, it is always advantageous for an organic portal to ambiguously deny the possibility of anything outside the matrix. That's an interesting sentence. By being ambiguous, an organic portal can cloak its given agenda under the mantle of ignorance, typical of an asleep souled person. By not admitting to anything out of the ordinary, the organic portal does not reinforce ideas of the waking souled individual. Usually, curbs are put in place to switch the conversation to something more mundane. Organic portals can converse proficiently about anything until an esoteric topic arises. Then the organic portal hits a brick wall and goes silent, rolls eyes, frowns, or switches topics instantly. Any passive way of avoiding discussion for their proficiency breaks down at that point and reveals their true nature. They cannot argue logically about non-matrix concepts because it is beyond their comprehension. They can fake the subject with memorized sound bites and mirror their target, but such attempts lack depth and are never matched with corresponding action. The difference between a sleeping souled person and an organic portal in this regard is that for a souled person, their words or actions do not sharply stop at the border between A and B influences. Skeptical as they may be, they have the potential to stray past that border and grow, while organic portals are denied that possibility. They lack the hard permanence of ignorance that organic portals display. Organic portals are not interested in ideas, but in energy and self gratification. When backed into a corner, or if it allows perpetuation of control, they can have a conversation in which they poorly simulate interest in B influenced ideas or fake having learned a lesson, but their actions never reflect their glib words, and very soon they behave as though the conversation never happened. Even if rarely, a souled person will undergo interchange after learning a lesson, and this reflects visibly in behavior. Organic portals have complete mobility to mirror the mundane aspects of their targets, but they are incapable of mirroring the bee influence details. For example, an organic portal can have similar hobbies, personal experiences, preferences for certain types of entertainment, political affiliation, and prefer identical sports or outdoor activities. But when it comes to spiritual progress, pursuit of truth, and questing after one's destiny, organic portals cannot follow and are usually programmed to dissuade their targets from progressing along such paths. Because the first set of shared interests are all they can mimic, they go to great lengths to emphasize these to cover up their inability or non allowance to follow the second set. Thus, or a targeted person attempting to awaken spiritually can often be entrapped by someone who has so much in common with them, not realizing that all they have in common are A, influence, interests. Yeah, it seems like this doesn't happen anymore. This may have happened in the past. This may have happened in the 2000s, but I don't know what to call it. That call of Sophia or whatever. It's just exposure happens so fucking quickly that there's really no time for a relationship to even build to be duped in this way. Um, we just whip these demon infested organic portals into a fucking frenzy so quickly that they show their ass these days. All the while, they are deterred from gaining bee influences. Once again, the difference between a partner who is an organic portal and one who is an asleep souled person is that the latter doesn't continually hit brick walls at every turn when it comes to ideas that transcend the matrix. Okay? Sometimes they will ponder a non matrix idea or two and it will stick in their minds. An organic portal's inability to cross that line should raise alarm for anyone who observes such consistent behavior in others. The behavior of robotic agents does not follow the delineation between A and B influences, however. Their limits merely fall along the perimeter of their programming or the ingenuity of their controllers. What characterizes them is that they do not engage in discussion of seemingly non matrix topics, from spirituality to alien abductions, alternative health to alternative science, and philosophy to metaphysics. They propagate false B influences or disinformation. I think we've seen some YouTube channels like that. Robotic types are slicker than organic portals when discussing esoteric things. As mentioned earlier, serve more specialized functions as active agents rather than passive ones whose strength lies in numbers. Yeah, so more like spiritual disinformation agents, the robotic agents, according to Montalk. To summarize, when it comes to esoteric subjects, organic portals generally tend to ridicule, distract, and suppress, while robotic agents push disinformation and commit sabotage. Respectively, these functions follow from their passive and active natures. Oh, that's crazy. Origin of organic portals and robotic agents. Robotic humans, also known as reanimated humans, are manufactured or created from existing human bodies by altering the non physical component to suit a mission or agenda. Yeah, so these aren't like literally like physically robotic, but apparently there is some kind of spiritual. I'm not fully sure what the non-physical element would be there, because it there's no spiritual dimension to organic portals, or so we say. But whatever. Whether sold or an organic portal, okay, I see. Sold or organic portal, anyone can be a candidate for this process, which involves exploration. Yet involves exploration, then reanimation with a new soul, reprogrammed soul, or remote cybernetic interface. That's an interesting one. Cybernetic interface. I don't know about that. Generally, organic portals are easier candidates because they lack higher selves and have no protection in the sense of divine intervention. Among other factors, souled humans are easily susceptible if they have a negative soul frequency. We're going to die anyways, according to the life script, or have damaged their soul body connection through extensive drug use. Interesting, the acknowledgement of a life script here. Because organic portals are controllable anyway in their common state, there is little need to reanimate them unless special circumstances that absolutely require it. Such as when a particular individual must do what only a robotic human can do. One such application might involve covert military operations that contain esoteric, hyperdimensional, or occult factors. Organic portals cannot comprehend such things, would give in to primal fear, and would therefore be ineffective. But through reanimation, they could perform their duties as intended. So this is very MK Ultra, Manchurian candidate type shit. The history of organic portals predates solid humans by hundreds of thousands of years. They are the original humans and natural evolutionary progression from our ancestral primates. Like most animals, our evolution happens collectively and slowly rather than individually and within a single or lifetime. I think I meant to say, or within a single lifetime. This is why early humans produced no culture or agriculture and only the most rudimentary stone tools for such a long period of time. Organic portals lack creativity and left to their own would not be capable of building a cultured society. Okay, yeah, I could see only the most rudimentary stone tools because yeah, even like many primates have been creating their own tools. Um, Periodically, the physical evolution of mankind, who were all organic portals at the time, was genetically modified by extraterrestrial hyperdimensional beings to increase their manual dexterity for use as slave labor. Nevertheless, after the initial modification, the soul structure of mankind remained the same, that of a group soul. Eventually, there came the introduction of a higher density soul matrix into human bodies. This was accomplished via an agreement between a higher density soul group desiring physical existence and hyperdimensional aliens who genetically prepared human bodies for their interaction. Being of a divine origin, the new humans contain the spark of individualized higher consciousness. They are brought to an Earth already populated by organic portals and over time intermixed with them to such a degree that today organic portals and souled individuals can be found even within the same family. Ain't that the truth? In the grand scheme of things, organic portals serve a beneficial function. They are bridges between densities, particularly second and third density. Souled humans possess higher centers and are able to produce higher energies. When a lower density being is exposed to such higher densities, its evolution is accelerated. Um, okay, well, I could see how that would be a benefit for the organic portal, but I'm trying to get to where the beneficial function of the organic portal is. Second density group souls evolve more rapidly into third density individual souls if there is an influx of higher density energies. Organic portals serve that function as energy scouts of second density that exist in third density. Okay, I see what they mean. Energy scouts of a second density that exist in third density, sucking the energy of souled humans. Their energy is funneled into their second density group soul and accelerating its collective evolution. At present, the Matrix takes a large share of that harvest. The 50-50 ratio between organic portals and souled humans on Earth is the optimal ratio for maximum energy transfer between densities. Well, I think that's over. Unlike animals, which evolve in their own second density realm, organic portals are simply energy scouts in third density. This means that an animal has the possibility of evolving into third density in a single lifetime, while organic portals cannot. Organic portals are merely feeding tube extensions of their group soul and exist primarily to collect energy for that group soul. An animal, particularly those who become pets, may acquire sufficient experience and soul essence from their owners that they individualize and split off from their group soul. They may then incarnate in third density as a souled human, though a very poorly developed one at first. Because of the impersonal nature of organic portals, it is impossible for them to individualize within a single lifetime at present. Not until the group soul evolves from second into third density as a whole can individualized souls spontaneously incarnate from it. There are differences between organic portals and lower evolved souled humans who are first time incarnates having recently graduated from second density. Okay. The latter have souls containing a divine spark of individuality with as much potential for full soul development as all maturely souled humans, although it will take many more lifetimes to mature to the same level. Organic portals also have this potential, but not on an individual level and not within this current cycle of human evolution. An animal can graduate to third density independent of its soul group, but as mentioned, organic portals cannot. Souls who are new to third density take on crash courses in the basics of this realm, and so their lives tend to be basic and often primal, regardless of where they live, whether inner city, suburbia, or the rainforest. Um, it would be reasonable to say that they live a primarily emotional existence because their lower centers dominate over the newfound intellectual and embryonic higher centers. They may even have residues of their former animal essence, which can reflect in their personality. Because of their vulnerable nature, having not learned many third density lessons yet, external forces easily influence them. The portal like nature of organic portals makes them even better agents of the Matrix. It employs them as feeding tubes and passive suppressors to keep souled humans in line and connected to the milking machine, as well as open doors through which the Matrix can directly interact with them. Being a milking machine is the Matrix's primary function, a way for higher density negative forces who are disconnected from directly accessing the creative energy due to atrophied higher centers to continue their existence. Okay, so this is Loosh Farm shit circa 2004. Through agents in the Matrix, souled humans are kept in place as an energy source, as metaphorically portrayed in the Matrix, except this energy is actually of a higher etheric kind than electric. This is man's place in the cosmos, much in the same way cows have their place as providers of dairy and meat. Now, I was thinking about this for the past couple of days is, what makes it all right to kill and eat cows, for example. And I think most humans would say, well, they're dumber. You know what I mean? They have they have a lower level of awareness. Well, I think these sort of in the Loosh Farm view, if you were to argue it from that perspective, if there are these higher sort of dimensional beings that have more awareness than us, following that reasoning, you could see how it would be just as justifiable to feed on us as well. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a reason to explore fruitarianism, one among many reasons to explore raw food diet. Because if you don't want to be a part of being fed on as an energy source, maybe you should stop consuming sentient things. One might disagree and say that cows do not deserve to be in farms. The truth is they are being milked and slaughtered because most never contemplate resistance or escape or have the ability to do so. Likewise, humans do not deserve to be enslaved for use as a natural resource either, but this is where we become most but this is where we are because most people never contemplate resistance or escape. But just because most cannot doesn't mean certain individuals' determination are denied escape. Thus, while organic portals, humans, and the Matrix serve evolutionary and metaphysical functions, individual souled humans have the choice of whether to participate in this plan or attempt to transcend it. It is the choice between being a slave and being a sovereign being. Some enjoy being slaves of comfort, but others see the illusion and are trying to wake up and reconnect to their higher centers. This job is difficult because life on Earth is designed to oppose awakening and escape in every way. Um, yeah, I mean, definitely, this has been an interesting talk. I am going to come back to this tomorrow because we are already at an hour and 10. But yeah, this has been the first half of Montauk's Matrix Agents, Profiles, and Analysis. Definitely a really interesting read. Before I form any final conclusions, I think I'm going to go ahead and read this full article and then maybe the addendum article as well. Thank you for joining me today, and adios, amigos.